Welcome back to our channel. Today we bring you a story so gripping that every heartbeat will feel like it could be your last. Brace yourself, because once the truth begins to unravel, there is no turning back. Madison had carried a weight in her heart for weeks, the kind of burden that clawed at her every waking thought and pressed against her chest with suffocating intensity. She had discovered the truth about Barbara and Vernon, a secret that could dismantle everything the family had carefully built and guarded. She had replayed countless times in her mind how she would reveal it, how the shockwaves would tear through the carefully crafted illusion of harmony. The truth burned inside her like fire, demanding release, and the closer she came to exposing it, the more she felt the shadows of danger closing in. On the night she prepared to speak, her movements were filled with urgency and dread. The drive was supposed to be routine, a short journey that would end with her confession. Yet fate twisted into something far darker. As Madison's car hurtled down the quiet road, a sudden screech of tires pierced the silence. A blur of light came from behind, blinding and menacing, before her vehicle spun violently out of control. The crash was brutal, the sound of twisting metal echoing through the night air as if the world itself was screaming. When the wreckage finally settled, the shattered glass glittered across the pavement like fragments of broken truth, and Madison's body lay bruised and bloodied amid the chaos. At first, whispers spread quickly that it was an accident, an unfortunate twist of fate that left her clinging to life. But as investigators combed through the wreck, details emerged that painted a more sinister picture. The brake lines bore marks of tampering, the skid pattern suggested a deliberate maneuver, and there were traces of paint from another car that should never have been on that road at that hour. The evidence was undeniable. Someone had wanted Madison silenced, and the accident was nothing less than a calculated attempt on her life. When Madison regained fragments of consciousness in the sterile confines of the hospital, her mind replayed the moment of impact, the sudden surge of fear, the chilling certainty that someone had been waiting for this moment. Fear quickly hardened into suspicion, and suspicion into a desperate need for answers. What unsettled her most was not the faceless enemy on the road, but the gnawing thought that the hand behind the attack could belong to someone she trusted. She had already been carrying the burden of Barbara and Vernon's secret, but now she bore something heavier, the belief that betrayal was far closer than she had imagined. Barbara, with her poised composure and seemingly unshakable exterior, rushed to Madison's side with a performance of concern that felt almost rehearsed. Her words were steady, her gestures convincing, but Madison's sharpened instincts detected a hollowness beneath the surface. She could not erase the knowledge of Barbara's entanglement with Vernon, a revelation that had shattered her perception of loyalty within the family. Madison watched her closely, searching for cracks in the mask, for the flicker of guilt in her eyes that might betray her role in the so-called accident. Vernon, ever the patriarch who demanded control, appeared shaken by the news, but his reaction carried undertones that troubled Madison. His dominance had long been woven into the family's narrative, a presence that brooked no challenge, and she had seen firsthand the ruthless lengths he could reach to protect his reputation. If he had discovered that she intended to reveal the truth, would it be so unthinkable that he orchestrated her downfall? The thought chilled her, because the very man who projected himself as the protector might have calculated her destruction. As days passed, the tension within the household grew suffocating. Whispers carried through the hallways like venom, each glance filled with unspoken questions, each silence heavy with implications. Madison's mind became a battlefield of possibilities, weighing every interaction, scrutinizing every expression. Every time Barbara lingered at her bedside, Madison felt the weight of secrets pressing harder. Every time Vernon offered his firm assurances, she wondered whether his words were meant to shield her or to bury the truth deeper. The investigation lingered in the background, a constant reminder that the truth had physical evidence, not just suspicion. Detectives spoke of unidentified tire tracks and a mysterious phone call made minutes before the crash. Madison knew that uncovering the truth meant not just exposing Barbara and Vernon's hidden bond, but also identifying the hand that sought to silence her. Yet her greatest fear was that those two truths were one and the same. Her recovery was slow, each painful movement a reminder of how close she had come to death. Yet the fire within her did not diminish. If anything, it grew fiercer, feeding on her pain and her desire for justice. She replayed the chain of events that had brought her to that night, tracing back every suspicious glance, every fragment of overheard conversation, every inconsistency in the stories told to her. The puzzle pieces began to align, and the image forming was as devastating as it was undeniable. Barbara's presence in Vernon's life had not been a fleeting mistake, it was a web spun in secrecy, a bond nurtured in shadows, and Madison's discovery of it had threatened to unravel everything. The closer she drew to exposing them, the clearer it became that her life was in jeopardy. The accident was not meant merely to wound her, but to silence her forever, to bury the truth alongside her body in twisted metal. The realization that Barbara or Vernon, or perhaps both, could be capable of such cold precision left Madison with a terror unlike any she had ever known. Yet she refused to be silenced. Even as her body healed, her resolve hardened. The family believed her broken, both physically and mentally, but within her burned a clarity that could not be extinguished. She would not allow herself to be erased, not by betrayal, not by fear. She began gathering pieces quietly, listening to conversations she was not meant to hear, noticing the subtle exchanges between Barbara and Vernon, cataloging every detail that betrayed their unease. She became a silent observer in her own home, a ghost haunting those who had tried to destroy her. The nights were the hardest, when the darkness seemed to whisper with the voices of doubt. But Madison found strength in her suffering, a resolve forged from pain. She imagined the truth exploding into the open, shattering the false world they had constructed, and she clung to that vision as her guiding light. She knew the moment she spoke, the family would fracture, and perhaps she would never be safe again, but silence was no longer an option. To survive meant to fight, and to fight meant to reveal. The day came when Madison finally rose from her bed with strength in her steps and fire in her eyes. Her body bore the scars of the crash, but her spirit carried something far sharper. She was no longer the victim of an accident, she was the keeper of a dangerous truth, and the target of those who feared it. As she walked into the heart of the household, every eye upon her, she knew the time had come to confront the storm that had been building. Whether it was Barbara, Vernon, or both who had tried to destroy her, their secret would no longer remain hidden. The gates of silence were about to burst open, and nothing within the family would ever be the same again. And this is only the beginning. The storm that Madison is about to unleash will tear through every carefully woven lie and expose every hidden betrayal. The shadows that tried to destroy her will face the blinding light of truth, and the world of beyond the gates will never recover from the revelations to come. Stay with us, because what lies ahead will be even darker, even more shocking, and far more devastating than anything you have seen so far. Follow our channel and subscribe now to witness every twist, every secret, and every moment that will leave you on the edge of your seat.